So good afternoon. Today, Forms for Formative Feedback. My name is John Martin. I work in academic technology and I try to teach every year. I've taught the Center for First Year Experience Wisconsin's Wisconsin Experience Seminar with freshmen, which is fantastic because first semester freshmen will do just about anything and they're not all tainted by the sophomore. They know everything. That after the second semester, they're gone. But the first semester, they can do all kinds of fun stuff. And this semester, I'm teaching graduate students on how to teach better in their class. So one of the things that comes up a lot is how do we get feedback on how we're doing? Because when I try to teach these classes, because I'm a consultant for teaching and learning, I always try to do too many things. This is maybe my problem is I'm like, let's try this and let's try this. And you students, you're my guinea pigs. So help me explore these mazes and find the cheese and things like that. So we have to find out, are they finding the cheese in the maze? Are they getting through? And one way of getting that is by collecting formative feedback. So what I wanted, we'll allow that. Okay. Thank you. What I wanted is, at the beginning of the semester, I have all these ideas and I want to know, can they actually do what I want them to do? So I asked them things like, do you have a laptop? Do you have a desktop? Do you have a mobile device? Do you have a tablet? Do you have these other different things? Do you have an account on Gmail, Facebook, Google Calendar, Piazza? I'll slip in something else that I want to try there. Have you heard of Poplet? Have you heard of something like else? And if some of them do, that's great. And I get all of these results. And what I did was I just embedded this directly into my Desire to Learn form news page. So the first thing that they see when they get on the web page is, oh, he needs to know information about me, so I give it to him. And what happens is they respond. Amazingly, they respond. And it was because, I think, that the first question I say is, name. So I can very quickly track whether they've responded or not, and I give them credit for doing that. Now this is the first form survey that I gave them, and there will be others that I didn't ask them to respond, but so because they all had to put their name in there, they all responded, and we ended up getting 22 responses, which I think you can read there. And then in Google Forms, I just click on View Summary of Results, and I get this beautiful picture that shows me really quickly that 17 out of the 22 are already familiar with Learn at UW. So that's good. That class I think was on a Wednesday, so they must have had a Tuesday class where they had already heard of it, or they had played with it with their advisor or something like that, but they were already familiar. Their level of tech savvy, middle of the road. So they're sort of familiar with things. That's good information for me to know because now I can look back on my syllabus and my schedule and I can say, all right, this activity will work, this activity might not work. They all have mobile devices. Great. I can send them around campus to collect things with their camera phones. What I would do next time, I would ask simpler questions. I would make it a little bit more playful so that in the survey, by answering the questions, they start to get a feel for my course already. Like, what is this going to be like? Will this be an adventurous course or will it be a little bit more of a dreary, by the book, follow the directions type course? And I would add more graphics because that adds more of a playful effect. There's another survey. Are they learning what I'm hoping that they're learning? So I try these things, I send them out all over campus and I make them do these things, but I don't know necessarily whether they're actually learning them or not, or how they reacted to them. Maybe I could have done something better. So, in the middle of the semester, apparently something unplugged.
Oh, you were back for a second.
All right. In the middle of the semester, okay, it's working mostly. Or 4 weeks, on the fourth, fifth week, I did this time I did it as a linked thing in news instead of as an embedded form. And I asked them very heartfelt language. One of the challenges of instructors, it's hard to get honest feedback from students, da-da-da-da-da-da. So this is an attempt to shorten the feedback loop. Because oftentimes as instructors, we don't get feedback until the evaluations, the student evaluations at the end of the semester. And so this is kind of a way to ask for that up front and say, hey, I'd like to get some anonymous feedback. Keep in mind that it's set, but I can also tweak things. So if you give me feedback, I will make changes based on your feedback. And that gives them some ownership. This one again, this doesn't make sense. This is from a different one, I think. Yeah, this is class 5 and that was class 4. So this must have been another year where I said, don't give me anonymous feedback because I'm obviously asking them for their name. So in this one, I guess I asked for their name. But same sort of questions. How useful was the Google Docs integration? And I say, I really forced you to use this. I tried to push you into using it in some tricky ways by adding pictures and things like that. Was it helpful? Do you use it in other classes? Do you see yourself using it on your own outside of that? So in this one, I started to give them a little bit of the, how did I use these things? How did I, as a student, react to these assignments? And again, I got quite a few responses. I think that the people had dropped by this point, 2 or 3 of them. But the results, it gives me their names, so I can check to see if they did it or not. Has it been useful? What other things would be useful about it? Again, it gives me these great bar graphs for it. And that was fun too. I think that actually embedding the form is better than doing it as a link. So I tried it both ways, and I think that I got more responses by embedding it rather than just putting a little link in there. So I would do that next time. And I would also include the learning outcomes. So for each activity, instead of just saying, what did you think of this activity? I would say, in this activity, I tried to get you to da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever the learning outcome was. Did you get that? Or how much did you get that? And that way, it actually reminds them of what that learning outcome was. So if they didn't get it, if they were totally clueless to my attempt to get them to understand the learning outcomes, there's another reminder of what my learning outcomes were. And then they might have that aha moment of like, oh, that's why he did it. Okay, well now I know. At least they know then, even if they didn't get it through the assignment. And then the last example of what I wanted was to make the course better. So at the end of the semester, and this one I actually did include the learning outcomes for a lot of them. As a legacy action to help future classmates, help your future classmates by making this class better. You've gone through it once now, you can help me tweak it so that next year the poor saps who are sitting in your seats don't have to go through the same things, the turmoils that you had to go through. Or maybe they should if you really liked that turmoil. So help me do that. That survey looked a lot like, again, too small for you to read, but that's okay. The heartfelt, this is what I want to do sort of thing at the top. And then, did I do that? Very quick yes, no answer. But then week 1, the Wisconsin Experience reading assigned was to help you get a sense of the Wisconsin experience. My goal for the Google Docs thing, for the confessional video, I wanted you to, I have the learning outcomes. Did we do all of these things? And then the responses. And I think I have a version here. Well, I know that I do somewhere. In light gray, right over here, there should be something. Well, I will show you momentarily. So this is great for me. It gives me good formative feedback. And what I did after the middle of the class and at the beginning of the class was the next day in class or the next week in class, I shared this with them so that they could see how they were doing with the other students as well. Am I the only person in the class who doesn't have some sort of a smartphone? Did I lie about my Facebook account? Stuff like that, or did other people as well? And in many ways, this was really useful because it shared with them, it made it transparent what my goals for the class were, and I was able to share with them. And in some ways, it makes it more of their class because they're able to see that I'm actually listening to them and taking these things into account. So the other thing that I would do here is, in the future, I would almost think about doing this every week after each assignment, or maybe a week after. So last week's class, we wait another week or so, and then we say, last week, what did you think about the assignment last week? And that way, they're thinking back to last week and saying, oh, what happened there? The reason that we do this, that I would want to do this, is because in a recent 2013 article, and this is a meta-analysis of hundreds of learning psychology things, they found out that, and there's a link to this that I will share on the resource page, but what works, what doesn't work. And they have, I think, 7 different top things that students do to discuss or to study for things. Things like highlighting and underlining for notes. Not very useful for students actually in learning. But one of the things that was very good was spreading the study over time, or revisiting distributed practice, revisiting what the key points were. So not just, we do one thing right now and we're done with it, move on to the next thing, but from time to time we revisit and think back, oh, what did we do then? And what did we do then? And what did we do 2 weeks ago? And that revisiting of topics over and over again is very beneficial. So why not have them do that in my formative feedback and link back to those previous things? So through those 3 examples, what I've learned is with learning objectives in question, the survey acts as a self-check for the students. So the students can say, oh, that's what he wanted us to do. So if I have not communicated it well beforehand, here's another opportunity for me to reach them. When the students have learning objectives there, they think I'm more organized. And that's kind of a neat sort of cheat for me because they can, even if I go off on tangents, they can continue to say, oh, this is what he's getting at, this has something to do with this. And their eyes continue to stay on the learning objectives, even though I might wander sometimes, as I'm prone to do. Reviewing their answers with them the day after shows that I care about my teaching and that I care about their learning, and that helps me have better reviews at the end of the semester. And then reviewing their answers with them helps them see where they stand next to other people as well. And that's just sort of standard feedback, and that's why I do a lot of performance assignments where it's not just them creating an assignment for me, but I say, show that assignment to everybody else. I make a lot of my assignments public so that they can look at the other students' work and do a self-check. Is mine as good as that person's? Is mine better than that person's? How much more do I need to do? Well, I like the way that this person was really thoughtful about that. Next time I should be a little bit more thoughtful about that. So that peer-to-peer learning happens just by connecting there. So that is my what happened, or what I wanted, what I tried, what happened, and what I would do next time presentation.